The lights of the global stage were never brighter than in 2025. The cameras flashed, the internet froze.
And just like that, two completely different worlds.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, pop superstardom and G7 politics, they just collided.
Collided in a romance so unexpected it didn't just break the internet. It sort of permanently rewired how we see celebrity and statecraft.
Welcome to the Deep Dive, presented today as the StarScope Report.
We're your guides, and our mission is always the same. We uncover the biggest stories shaping, well, everything. We go deep on the Hollywood drama, the music industry shakeups.
The viral influencer scandals, we try to cut through all the noise to get to what actually matters.
And today we are deep diving into the relationship that redefined the whole idea of a power couple.
Our sources cover everything, from, secret dinners in Canada to these high-level diplomatic lunches in Asia.
It's the fascinating, high-stakes story of former Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and pop icon Katy Perry.
The title of this deep dive really says it all. Celebrity meets statesmanship in 2025's most watched romance.
Okay, let's get into it.
The focus on them was immediate, and I mean intense.
Right, because this wasn't just two people meeting, it was two massive public figures who were both navigating these huge simultaneous life resets.
That context is everything. So on Katy's side, she and Orlando Bloom announced their separation in June 2025.
After almost a decade together. And they have a young daughter, Daisy Dove. So that whole co-parenting thing was already under a microscope.
And then you have Trudeau. He had separated from Sophie Gregoire back in the summer of 2023. But the big thing was, in March 2025, he resigned.
Stepped down as Prime Minister and leader of the Liberal Party. So he's out of the highest office in Canada just months before all this kicks off.
So you've got two global names, both newly single, and we have multiple sources saying Trudeau is pursuing her pretty hard.
Yeah, since July.
Hard is maybe the right word considering the pace. Which brings us to our first segment. The headline kind of sets the scene. From Montreal dining to Santa Barbara PDA, the quick climb to viral fame.
So the first definitive date we can track is July 28th, 2025, in Montreal. They took Perry's dog for a walk in Mount Royal Park.
A very, very public walk.
Very public, then dinner and drinks at some upscale spots.
The location choice there, Montreal. So public. It just immediately tells you this wasn't some secret affair. They were testing the waters.
Totally. And then just 2 days later, Trudeau is at her Lifetime's tour concert with his daughter, Ella Grace.
And he was, according to sources, spotted singing along to Firework.
Right, not hiding in a private box or anything. He was in the crowd. It felt like he was signaling comfort or maybe even, strategic visibility.
But the real shift from just a rumor to, like, an undeniable couple, that took only 90 days.
And it all led up to what we've been calling the press release moment.
Ah, yes, October 11th. The Daily Mail drops those photos, with the now infamous photos of them on her yacht off Santa Barbara.
An intimate embrace. And Trudeau, of course, was shirtless.
And the reason that went so viral wasn't just, the PDA. It was the juxtaposition of it all. A former G7 leader and a global pop icon.
It was unreal.
I saw one piece of commentary that just nailed it. It said Trudeau had his hand on Katy Perry's booty like he was signing a peace treaty.
That quote is perfect. It just perfectly captures that sudden merge of the political world and the theatrical.
Absolutely. What's so fascinating is how fast the story accelerated. From just casual dating to this very public, very visual declaration.
This relationship wasn't just moving fast, it was operating on celebrity time.
And that speed, it just raises a huge question. Is this really about a deep, genuine connection, or is there a bigger political and branding strategy happening here?
Which leads us right into our next segment. Shifting types and survival tactics. Why this romance is political currency. They knew they had to respond to the yacht photos.
And Katy did it in the most Katy Perry way possible.
So 2 days after the photos dropped, October 13th, she's on stage in London for her tour. A fan proposes to her right there on stage.
Perfect setup. And her response was just, chef's kiss.
She replies, "I wish you'd asked me 48 hours ago. The whole place just erupted."
I mean, she's publicly tying herself directly to the timeline of that viral news cycle. So clever.
And then she hints that her type had shifted. She told the crowd she used to fall for Englishmen all the time, but not anymore.
Wow. A very clear, very public nod to her past relationships and confirming this pivot to a former Canadian statesman.
And that one playful comment just kicked off this huge public debate, the one about celebrity culture meeting political branding.
Well, Trudeau has always been called the first prime minister of the Instagram age. He's always been skilled at building that relatable, progressive image.
And Katy, of course, is famous for her activism, backing progressive causes, supporting Hillary Clinton in 2016.
They show those core values: social justice, the environment. One outlet called it a dynamic synergy.
But if we connect this to the bigger picture, this synergy has its critics. Analysts started warning that this blending of fame and politics could lead to policy dilution.
And that's a really important concept we should probably unpack.
Yeah. So when we say policy dilution, what we mean is the media focus shifts. It moves away from the substantive stuff like Canadian trade policy or environmental initiatives he worked on.
And it shifts entirely to the trivial, the visual, the personal stuff.
Right. The conversation stops being about governance and it becomes all about shirtless yacht photos and relationship drama.
And there are sources out there suggesting that Trudeau's motives here are less about romance and more about public survival.
One source was incredibly blunt, claimed Trudeau needs this relationship for fame and survival as a public figure.
The source even suggested he doesn't have much of a path forward without his celebrity status.
Yeah.
And that he needs the relationship way more than Katy does.
It's a really cynical take. What's the argument there? How does he need this celebrity status?
Well, the argument is all about institutional power. When you're not the prime minister anymore, you lose the official platform, you lose the automatic media coverage, the diplomatic invites.
So by aligning with a global superstar,
You bypass the traditional political media completely. You're basically buying relevance through her cultural capital. He stays a relevant global figure because she makes him relevant to her 200 million followers.
it paints a very calculated picture.
It does. But we have to note there are other sources confirming a real attraction. They describe it as a supersized attraction, and that they love to talk about serious issues.
So the connection is probably real, even if the timing is just profoundly politically convenient.
Exactly.
And if you're loving these kinds of Hollywood twists that bleed right into geopolitics, make sure you're subscribed to the deep dive. We've got even crazier stories ahead as we get to the biggest pivot point in this story.
So hit that subscribe button. You don't want to miss what happens next.
Despite all the headlines, all the intensity, skepticism about this relationship lasting was still incredibly high.
We saw online prediction markets like Polymarket and Kalshi actually tracking the odds of it.
The numbers were stunning. By November, there was only an 11% chance they'd be engaged in 2025.
Can you imagine G7 diplomacy being tracked right alongside who's going to win the Super Bowl? It just shows you how completely merged these worlds have become. The public just saw it as another volatile celebrity romance.
Yet, they kept moving forward. They made their first official public appearance as a couple on October 25th for Katy's 41st birthday.
Holding hands, leading a cabaret show in Paris. The Crazy Horse. Very glamorous.
But the ultimate validation, that came in December, which is our final segment. The Tokyo Nexus, when the partner status becomes diplomatic currency.
And this is where it gets really interesting.
On December 3rd, 2025, Katy Perry joins Trudeau for his first high-level joint political appearance. A visit with the former Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida and his wife Yuko for a formal lunch.
The logistics here are just fascinating, because this wasn't some dedicated political trip he planned.
No, the whole visit was carefully coordinated around Perry's Lifetime's tour stop in Saitama, Japan. The cultural platform, her concert, was a vehicle for the political meeting.
It's a masterful use of what political scientists call soft statecraft. And Kishida didn't just host them. He posted a photo on X, and he made a very deliberate, very specific choice of words.
He explicitly called Katy Perry Trudeau's partner.
That one word. That choice was so critical. It was an authoritative, external validation. It cemented the relationship's gravity in the highest political circles.
It instantly took her from, rumored girlfriend to a recognized, legitimate figure in diplomacy.
And it gave immediate credibility to Trudeau's whole post-premiership relevance.
And Kishida's statement was more than just pleasantries. He actually referenced their past work on the Japan-Canada Action Plan.
So for anyone listening who might not follow, trade policy day to day, why is that specific action plan so significant? Why would he bring that up?
The Japan-Canada Action Plan is not trivial. It's a big, concrete agreement about economic security, trade, environmental sustainability.
All core progressive issues.
Exactly. So by referencing it, Kishida was very clearly showing that Trudeau is still a valuable, trusted partner in these high-stakes global discussions, with or without the title of Prime Minister.
And this move, it signals a clear strategic pivot for Trudeau. He's prioritizing what you could call relational influence. his personal friendships, his celebrity appeal.
Not over the institutional authority he used to have.
Right. This is how he keeps his global network alive.
Hmm.
It's how he legitimizes his new role as a global progressive advocate.
And Trudeau was quick to jump on it. He reposted Kishida's message, thanked him for his commitment to the international rules-based order and a better future for everyone.
And Perry's presence, with her massive cultural capital, it just amplified policy goals that line up perfectly with her activism. Things like investing in and connecting people, or building a sustainable and green future.
Her reach, combined with his experience, lets them broadcast these goals to an audience that's way bigger than any traditional political summit could ever hope for.
So while critics are still worried about that policy dilution we talked about, this very public debut in Tokyo used her fame to guarantee his continued relevance on the world stage. It's a calculated, almost ingenious form of fusion branding.
So what does it all mean? We've seen this relationship go from, secret Montreal dinners and viral yacht photos to an official high-level diplomatic lunch in Tokyo.
A lunch that instantly legitimized the former prime minister's new public role. It's a perfect example of how celebrity and statecraft are now just completely intertwined.
He's leveraging the immense wattage of a global pop star to maintain his geopolitical network to ensure he stays politically relevant.
The core advantage is the media currency she generates. It lets him bypass the old political news cycles and keep his seat at the table.
It's an aggressive strategy, a really ingenious one. But the success of his entire post-premiership path, his global advocacy, it all depends on one single thing:
The stability of this relationship.
So what happens if this high-stakes political plan, which is anchored so firmly in Hollywood, suddenly faces a dramatic, unexpected Hollywood twist?
That's the vulnerability, isn't it? It's the inherent risk of this kind of fusion branding. Something for you to mull over as this story keeps developing.
You've been listening to StarScope Report, where Jordan and Jamie uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture.
Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.